I'm excited to introduce to you all Wendyse Casimir, a dynamic entrepreneur and business analyst.
I'm not exempt from trials and tribulations to this life. 19, baby in the NICU. I went through terrible postpartum depression. I shaved all my hair off. I was actually homeless around that time, just to be transparent.
Hello and welcome back. This is Natalie with Inspire Life 365, and thank you so much for joining us for another amazing podcast episode. You know that we dive deep into the art of personal transformation and the magic of mindset and manifestation. On today's podcast, we have one of the most resilient people I have ever met. When I tell you the resilience is real, it is absolutely amazing. So I'm excited to introduce to you all Wendyse Casimir, a dynamic entrepreneur and business analyst, born in Haiti and raised in Tampa, Florida. She moved to Atlanta in 2013 after completing her studies at Hillsborough Community College and was accepted into the Clark Atlanta University, where she earned her undergraduate degree in business marketing. She furthered her education with an MBA in business analysis from Georgia State University. Wendyse is an entrepreneur at heart. Her entrepreneurial spirit was evident from a very young age. She began working as a cosmetologist at 12, doing hair in her parents' home to support herself through college. Currently, Wendyse is serving as a senior analyst for Delta Airlines, where she applies her analytical skills to drive her business success. In addition to her corporate role, as you all can see, she is nonstop serial entrepreneur. She owns TW Casper Inc., a property management business with her partner. Their portfolio includes 4 properties, 1 in Washington, D.C., and 3 in Atlanta, serving as thriving Airbnb rentals. Wendyse is a proud mother. Daughter was born prematurely at 1 pound, 3 ounces, and is now a thriving 12-year-old, reflecting the same resilience and tenacity that Wendyse embodies in her professional life. She lives by the motto, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So welcome, Wendyse. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Ooh, that was a mouthful with a lot of accomplishments, and I loved saying every single bit of it. It's amazing. It's amazing what you've done. So, as you know, this is the Inspire Life 365 community, and I have to kick it off by saying, what has inspired you to be such the serial entrepreneur, such the driven woman that you are? Like, what's your story?
Um, so to really sum it all, what inspires me is just every day knowing like this is the only life that I have. This is the only life that I will have, and I have to make the best of it. I don't want to live with regrets. Um, I may fail at certain things, but I'm gonna find what works for me, and whether it takes me to try a bunch of things. Because if I don't try, I will never know what I'm good at. Like I didn't know that I would fall into analytics. I didn't know a lot of things that has come in my life I didn't know in the beginning. But being intentional, like I'm going to make the best of this one of life that I had.
Yeah. That's amazing. So I know a little bit about you in the sense of some of the things that you do in the community to inspire. And I really want to hear more about that because so many times people are challenged with how to be resilient
Mhm.
or understanding what resilience looks like and what it looks like coming out on the other end. You know, a lot of times we're just stuck in struggle or I can't do or what society has told us that we can't do. So tell me like how did Wendy's get to here? Like where was she before she became the entrepreneur, before she went to school and did all these things?
Mm, oh, that's a little one. I'm trying to break it up, but who she was before was just a little immigrant, living in America. My dad kind of showed me without telling me the possibility of life. Like we were from Haiti, and he saw a vision of him being in America. He came first, and then he brought his family here. And that's huge, honestly. And he did pretty well for himself, and making sure that he cared for his 3 kids and his wife and things like that. And sometimes when I think about like someone leaving their country to come to a whole nother country. You know, the fearlessness that it takes to do that. So, and like my dad always like made sure he put in us when we were younger, just like, you know, kind of basically like don't waste while you're here. You know, a lot of people want to be here. A lot of people in Haiti wants to be in America and have opportunities here. Even like sometimes like no shade or anything like that. My parents get kind of upset by um, Americans that are raised and don't take advantage of the opportunities that are here. And I know all like the red tapes and all that stuff, but still the opportunities are still there to fight to have it at least. So that is like one of the things. Like just growing up as an immigrant, you kind of already have like that. There's so many possibilities because I'm here, type thing. So
Mhm.
I didn't take advantage of just being in America because I could have been in Haiti. Not having the same quality of education and not having the same opportunities and things like that. And just as a little girl, I just always been that. Being honest and true, if there's any young girl that's semi rebel, it's a good thing because like she grows up to be like someone that's like, you said I can't do what, And
Right.
that was always my thing. Like, I've done a lot of you know, let's say like when my young self have done a lot of things like pushing the envelope, like with my parents, and I came from a strict household, so my parents were like, you can't do X, Y, and Z. I'm just like, whatever. Like I still in a respectful way, but that kind of pushed me to like, okay, after I had my child young, and like, oh, it's gonna be hard for you to finish school, whatever. Like I
Mhm.
that little rebel in me always wanted to just like show people like, okay, I'm gonna do it anyways. Like
Yeah,
regardless, you know.
I love that so much because you said a couple of things. Like one, well, let me ask you this: were you born in Haiti or were you born here in the
I was
States?
born in Haiti.
Okay, so you born in Haiti, came over, and
Hmm.
I just love the fact that being, I guess, an immigrant, already there's a mindset shift that
Yeah,
happens. Like I'm in a different place, so therefore I can do different things.
yeah,
It doesn't have to be what I did over there, or it's going to be better. Actually, it's not even, it can be better. It's almost like you come over and you're like, it's going to be better. It will be better
right.
because I have all the opportunity in the world. And then that just sets up this mindset, like you said, of I can do anything.
Yeah.
There isn't anything I can do. If I can come from there, I can do anything. So tell us about, so you said that you had your daughter young.
Mhm.
Do you mind sharing with us like what is young? Like what?
I had her at 19. I mean, that's not like, I mean, it's still a teen at the end, I guess. It was, I guess that was my first year of college. I had, or the beginning of the second year, because I graduated when I was 17, went to school at 18. I think I was, yeah. Yeah. So my second year, I had my daughter, and she was 1 pound, 3 ounces. And this is the
Babe.
crazy thing. When I was pregnant with her, I went to go get like the 3D ultrasound, and they were showing like something was wrong. And I'm just like, oh, what's going on? And my placenta wasn't really feeding her, so she wasn't getting all the nourishment that she needed. And then also they kind of thought like maybe she'll have Down syndrome, and they want to do some testing. And I'm just like, researching the testing, like there's a possibility if you test, she can die from that test. If she gonna have Down syndrome, she gonna have Down syndrome. We're gonna figure out. We're gonna find out when she come out. I'm not gonna risk her life just to say, oh, she has Down syndrome, she's dead. Like
Right.
So we're gonna find out eventually. So we're not gonna do
Let's
that.
just ride it out.
We're gonna write it out. But I ended up being in bed rest at 6.5 months. Bed rest in the hospital.
Oh
So
wow.
right, so I was on oxygen, like that was on a monitor. Her heart rate was very unstable. They just knew like any moment she would need to be removed from me because like again, like there was just something wrong inside of me. And it was just crazy. I was doing everything I was supposed to do. Like and eating right, doing everything. But at
Yeah.
the same time, there while I was pregnant, so I took cosmetology in high school, but I didn't finish my hours. So at that time, I was taking cosmetology at night. I was going to community college in the daytime, and I was working full time at a hair salon
Oh wow.
while I was
You were
pregnant.
doing a lot.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was doing a lot, and I was doing hair on the side at home. So I was
Yeah.
doing a lot, but I always been that person to do a lot. So when the doctor told me, okay, we're gonna have to keep you here to monitor you, I was like, okay, well, can I still go to school and work and then come back? And he was like, this is not the halfway house. It's like this kind of halfway out, but I've just always been like that hustler. I'm just like, I want to be idle in the hospital, like, I'm not gonna be working. I'm like, what about school? Like all these things, like I like, because at a time it just feels like that's gonna stop the progression of the life that I'm trying to create. So my daughter was at 27 and a half weeks. I had to do emergency C-section. Her heart rate was dropping, so I pulled her out. She was 1 pound 3 ounces. She was in the hospital for like 3 months and a day. And while they're like while they're like wheeling me to to the operating room, whatever, to do cesarean, they were saying there's a huge possibility that she's not going to live, and I'm just like blocking them out. It's like whatever I believe is what's going to happen, and I believe my baby's going to be okay at 19. I believe my baby's going to be okay. So blah blah. They're telling me all these statistics. I'm like, I know who my God is, and I always meditated on Jeremiah 29:11, like on her sonogram. That's what it was like. And so I'm reading that, just like I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. Like I know God has plans for me, no matter what these humans are telling me. Like if I'm God's child, I'm gonna have a good outcome because I'm His child, right? And His hurt is mine, right? So why would I have exactly? So like if I'm going through these, it's like He's going through with me. I'm not exempt from trials and tribulations to this life, but I know that it's gonna work out for me because I'm God's child. So 19, baby in the NICU. I went through terrible postpartum depression because like I try to still do online classes after I had my child while she's in NICU. Failed all my classes. I went crazy and I shaved all my hair off. I lost so much weight.
Yeah.
I was severely depressed. I was actually homeless around that time because just to be transparent here, so people really understand my journey. I grew up in a domestic abuse household, and again, like I'm that child who's gonna go toe to toe in a respectful way because right is right, wrong is wrong, And so I stood up for my mother, and my dad basically said we can't have 3 adults in this house. And while I was pregnant too, and I was just like, well, okay. So I left, and no, I wasn't pregnant. Ava was in the NICU at the around time because 3 months. So within that time, so I was staying in the hospital, and everybody thought I just wanted to be close to my baby, but really I had nowhere to
go. You really need a shelter. You really need a place to stay. But hey, whatever works.
They had a bed, they had a shower in the room, so it worked out.
Made it work.
My daddy kicked me out, and nobody knows. They just think, oh, she want to be with her baby.
God provided. However we want to look at it. I mean, it's hey, we do what we have to do. Yes.
My baby was taken care of. Even around that time, like the nurse was like, "Oh, you want to wake up in the middle of the night and feed her?" I'm like, "I'm gonna have to feed her when we leave here. You got it. You got it. Enjoy while I'm trying to figure out where I'm gonna live." And so that's like part of my story. Like I'm like, okay, my baby's in the NICU. She gonna need somewhere to live after this. And my dad was like, after a while, was like, you can come home. And I'm just like, once you give me out, that's it. Because I can't. I just don't want to be in that environment anymore. I just can't.
And you had a new baby.
Exactly. I didn't want my baby to be raised in that.
Yes.
I wanted a better environment for her. Like even if me and her father wasn't together, like I believe like. For me, parents don't have to be together to have a happy child. The child's actually happier when you're good. That's how I see it. That the best scenario is for the parents to be together. But if it's toxic, you're actually creating more trauma. And I prefer to just be separate, reducing the trauma. And your trauma is just you wasn't raised in a 2-parent household. Then actually like, oh, I was raised in a 2-parent household like me. Like everybody really praises 2-parent household. Again, it is still the best scenario, but in that 2-parent household, I got to see a lot of domestic violence. I got to see a lot of fidelity. Like, was that better than them being separated? So while she was in the hospital, I tried to find a place for us to stay. And I used to save change. That's when people used to have like dollars and change. Now we do a lot more swiping. And I used to have a jar, and I just put my change because I had this thing of just like I hated loose change. When I used to go to the store and they were like, oh, they had change. I'm like, oh, keep change to like some guy I was talking to at the time. He was just like, why would you tell them to keep change? Like, you know how that much money that adds up. So I was like, I hate carrying change. He was like, well, just put it in a jar or something. So I did. And And then around that time, I had went to the credit union to see how much money I had in the jar. I had enough for a down deposit for an apartment.
Wow, look at that. See,
Yeah.
and look, so there's like several things that you've said. So one of the things I want to call out is we call it scripting. So when when you were carrying your baby and they were telling you all the things that could be or would be with your child, you went to praying and meditating on Jeremiah 29:11. But you also said you wrote Jeremiah 29:11 on her sonogram,
Mhm.
right? That's like a form of scripting, which I think is amazing, because you have the intention around it. You know what the scripture or what that word is. If anyone doesn't know Jeremiah 29:11, definitely pull it up. But
Mhm.
essentially, you were speaking that into existence,
Right.
you know, in the womb. I mean, you were already saying it, which is like an affirmation. So, not to mention, you're affirming every
Mhm.
day because you're believing that this is what it's going to be. This
Exactly.
is what it is. It's not whatever it is you're talking about.
Yeah.
And you had this sense as such a very young age of 19 to be able to block out that negativity from these grown professional people who supposedly know more, than you do at the time. So that's powerful. And then, you have this change, it was a couple of things you did. You made a decision that you wanted your child to have a different life than what you had, meaning environment wise.
Yes.
So you believe that it could be, it didn't have to be just one way, the way that you were brought up in, which a lot of people just, of course, we know this, end up doing the same things that
Mhm.
their parents did, whether they want to or not. It's the program.
Yeah.
It's a program.
No.
And you essentially broke that program when you had your baby, when you had your daughter. And then the guy that you were talking to, you were throwing away change, which it's like I think of people when they see a penny on the ground and they be like, "Ugh, it's just a penny." When
Mhm.
I see a penny, I'll be like, oh, money coming,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
because it adds up. It's like, oh, it's affirming that, money is being drawn to me in some way, especially if I've been looking for it or needing something or wanting something. And he spoke something into your life that you didn't have to listen to.
No. I'm a good listener.
You a great listener, and and you took that and made change
It's
work.
a stability. Like it was
Like it's like change work.
like literally, it was like if I didn't do that, like, and so it was me and my best friend at the time, that we moved in together. But literally, like I had just enough from the change to put for the security deposit. It was crazy, like
It's
crazy.
not crazy. That is how God, whether it's God, universe, source, whatever, people's infinite intelligence,
Hmm.
that's you had a desire to be somewhere.
Yeah,
And
it lined up.
you had the literally lined up, like to the T.
And not
That's
only
great.
that, like, okay, but I can't work that much because after when Ava was released from the NICU, she had like probably 4 doctor appointments a week. And
Wow.
yeah, she, excuse me if I don't say the correct doctor terms, but she had an eye doctor, heart doctor, you know,
She had it all. She
she
had
had
it all.
literally because she came home with on a heart monitor, on a feeding
Yeah.
tube, the breathing tube, and all that stuff. This is a 19-year-old girl with all this, and
Wow.
but I knew she was gonna be okay. And like, if anybody ever get to see my daughter, you would never know. But I couldn't work that much because she had so many doctor appointments, and I still wanted to get back to school. But I was approved to have like SSI, which means like your child was like born early. They make you pay
Mm-hmm.
your rent. So like God provided that I did not have to go back to my parents' house. Like my rent was paid,
Absolutely.
and then like again, like I've been doing hair since I was 12. So I even say this to this day, as long as I have these hands, I would never be broke. Like never. Delta can let me go today and I'll be back in the right there.
That's right. Right. You can make it. You can get through it. Probably, maybe even thrives. Probably thrive,
Oh yeah.
to be honest. So let me ask you, knowing like your background, and thank you so much for being so vulnerable
Mhm.
and sharing with us like
I help somebody.
your background and your environment and some of the challenges that you face. So what would you tell your younger self today knowing all the things that you know now, what would you tell your younger self? Or, I mean, I'm sure you're telling some young girl, some young teenager something today. What would you share with them about challenges or strife and what someone says you can't do or
Hmm.
be?
I mean, so when it comes to like the talking to myself part, 'cause that's different from talking to somebody else. 'Cause again, like I've always had that mindset since I was
Yeah.
younger. Like whatever, all it happen regardless. Like even down to like I would just be adding more stories. So we're not going to get in there. But I've always been that, so I can't really say like that. Honestly, sometimes when I think about my young self, and I even look at some pictures of my young self, and I'm like, girl, you good. Like literally, like I know my life is not perfect and there is a lot of things that I need to like get like that's coming together that isn't always there. But I'm happy where we ended up. And like, like um I used to watch Girlfriends and like see the girl
Hmm.
black women like in corporate and stuff like that and looking really nice. And I kind of feel like them sometimes. I'm like, you're like, you got a nice car, girl, you got a good van, you know what I'm saying? You go to the street, she's driving, like I really literally talk to myself. Like sometimes people think that's just kind of weird, but I do. I talk to my inner child. And that's kind of healing
Hmm.
me just to let her know, like, we're pretty good out here. We got a lot of work to do, but be patient because like today is better than yesterday, you
Yeah.
know? And then yesterday is better than the 2 days before that, So like,
Absolutely.
like
Hmm.
even when I'm going through different things, like it's still a better point than I was before,
Hmm. Hmm.
from
Hmm.
from the young girl that was going through community college or the young girl that, some people just thought was because I was kind of sort of a trouble child. I wasn't completely a trouble child. Again, I would just had that rebel in me. Like my parents, my brother was like the straight A person, good child. Like we had teachers that used to say, "Why can't you be more like your brother?" I'm like, "Cause I'm not," because I'm not. But like a lot of people didn't think like I was going to be who I am to the point that I'm actually as a middle child, I've become the oldest child.
So, what would you tell a it could be a young lady, it could be a woman, anyone who feels like they're stuck? Like, what would be your top three things you would want them to know?
So I like to say these are things I actually say to people like, as long as you wake up, as long as you wake up, that's another day to the opportunity to better your life. Like you wake up today, like, okay, you can shift your life anytime. I actually went to visit someone at a hospital just the other day, and they're kind of going through a very strange part of their life right now from choices in life. And that was one of the things I said. It was just like we've been so many different versions of ourselves in the past. That means we could be so many more versions of ourselves in the future. It doesn't matter who we was like back then because we're not even that person no more. We're a whole different person today. So that means tomorrow we could literally be a different person. Like literally, this is what I said to her because like, and then also just again like every day that you wake up is another opportunity to pivot your life. I have my brother, my whole family was kind of like worried about him, just like thinking like he's going to be stuck in the rut that he was in. And like for a long time, he's older than me. And I don't know, the light bulb just switched. And I can also, my parents was like, we just got to thank God that he's alive. Because if he's alive, then that means that change can come, change will come. And now he's back in school, making straight A's, and that's a different person than he was just last year
Wow.
just
Yeah,
last year. So we can reinvent ourselves literally anytime. Like,
I love that.
and just knowing that like you don't have to worry about people thinking that you change. If you want to change and be somebody else, do it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you're
Mm-hmm.
supposed to change. That's what life is about. It's about change. It's not about staying the same. It's just our world. Our world, yes, we have a lot of evil and a lot of like bad things, but at the same time, it is getting better. Technology is helping, like it has to change. If we stayed in the Stone Age, somebody didn't decide like, oh, I don't want to ride that horse no more. I want to
Yes.
want to ride a car. You don't want to ride something that I
I
can
don't want to be on the plane. Yeah. So what you're saying, change is good. Change is what you make it, and
Yeah,
it can be good.
yeah.
It can always be good. And what's the third thing?
The third thing is you can do it all. Like some
I
people,
love that so much.
like 'cause some people think they like even my little sister. When I talk about my little sister, she's amazing. She's a singer. She's a grant writer. She is a youth minister, like leader, like music director. She does so much. Like she fills a lot of different hats, and sometimes she feels like like should I choose to do this? Like, you can do it all. You can be it all. Like I believe you can do everything, anything that you want to do. And then if you figure out like, okay, that doesn't really fit how I want my life, like I'm gonna do something else. But like um but but literally like you literally can do it all. You do not have to just be one thing. You
Hmm.
can be a very dynamic person. You can, have a bunch of different hobbies. You can be all kinds of different things. Like um if you went to school for law school and then you decided I want to be a doctor, go ahead, do it. You can be a doctor too. Like, like you have one life, like um and I also feel like if God gives you if you get these ideas of being something and wanting something, I feel like God put that in you. So you should chase it. Like
Yeah.
why would I feel like I'm gravitating towards something if it's not something that's already in me? So like I have to see what is that about. Let me explore that.
I love that so much. That's that intuition. That's
Hmm.
that desire. It's I was saying God wouldn't give it to you if you couldn't have it. He
Yeah,
would you wouldn't be out here desiring it, or universe, source, whatever. You would not be desiring what it is. It would not be pulling or calling you if it wasn't possible.
yeah,
Period. You
yeah.
know? Yeah, I love that so much. So tell me what's next for you. Like what's next for Wendy's? Like, what is her ultimate in what is the ultimate way that she wants to inspire life every single day?
Um, I I try to in every part of my life to be healthy. Being intentional and like always analyze. I'm an analytical person, so I not only analyze number, but I analyze myself every day, like as a partner, as a mother, as an employee. Like, could I have been better? Like, and this is not to be um, a person that like need people approval. It's really just like, am I satisfied with who I am to me? Not necessarily to everybody. But if it's good to me, it should be good to everybody else. Looking at the right compass though, like you gotta have a healthy mindset to know what good is first of all, um,
Right.
and what good feels like. But what's next for me is like so I was sitting in like I wouldn't say a boardroom, but I was sitting with a bunch of leaders in my company, and I looked around. This is a very progressive company, okay? Like this is one of the you see more of me than a lot of other companies, but there was still no me in that room.
It
And
still exists. It still exists.
I was invited to the meeting just to present something I want to change within the department. But I looked around, these are like GMs and directors and SVP, and I'm just like, oh my God. I'm a lower level person, but it's only me here. And I know like outside of that there's like there are few, but it's still not enough. And for me, like I always had this thing, just like I'm do everything I can to turn corporate America brown. It may not be black, but it's gonna be brown. You're gonna bring a bunch of me's and my homegirls,
More diverse, more diverse.
whatever. So
Just
I'm
some brown, some white, some
right,
black,
exactly.
some
So
tan.
when I say brown, it's me the mix of like the whites, the brown
Yes,
rap,
yes.
and the blacks. Like we're not we're diluting what it is now. And like I love
Mhm.
like the circle I am because we're like actively like if we see a job listing or job post or like hey you look for a job like we're gonna get you in there some kind of way. We need to make space for our peoples and things like that. And it is not in a it's not in a don't want to like anyone take it a negative way. It's really like we grow up and we don't know the options out there when it comes to work. So I didn't know
Right.
my analytics till like my senior year of college. Like a group came and there was actually a lot of they came to HBCU, so they said they said black people, which
Well,
is
yeah, I mean, because I mean, that's a real thing. Like a lot of times, people don't know what they can be until they can see what they can be. Because a
exactly.
lot of people are really visual, or it's not even a thought.
Or
If you haven't ran across someone or know someone.
and the people around you in your family or neighborhood community, they're not in those spaces, so you don't know those spaces exist. So it's for
Exactly.
the people that's in those spaces to kind of be a little loud to like show other people, like show younger people that hey, there's other jobs besides blue collar, or there's other jobs besides other things that you could be involved in. My younger
Yeah.
sister.
Okay. Um, I was going to ask you. So we're getting ready, of course, to wrap this up in just a little bit. But I wanted to ask you because I don't know, and audience doesn't know. Um, have you ever manifested anything, or do you even believe in manifestation in any form or fashion? And yeah, we want to know.
My life is my life is a product of manifestation. Like,
Mm.
whether some seasons I don't really tap in as much, but I always go back and just like, okay, like in 2018, I was laid off from a company, and during that layoff time, I was like, I'm gonna work at Delta. I didn't apply. No, I didn't know about no job over there. I didn't know. I just know I'm gonna end up at Delta because that's where I want to be. And like a whole year later, one of my sister friends, saw a job opening and brought me in and like, gave me opportunity because I had to seal the deal, gave me opportunity to for a job opening, interviewed well, and now I'm here and like literally Delta has always been my dream company before I even, and now I'm here. And so my whole life is just a product of manifestation.
That's amazing. So,
Oh wait,
what is
another cool one is living in Atlanta. So I was part of this educational talent search. Basically, you'll travel around the country, look at colleges and things like that. And I think my junior year we came to Atlanta, and I was on Clark campus. I was like, oh my god, I want to come here. But I never thought I was really gonna move to Atlanta for real. But I was just like, I want to be here. And my mother, getting away from her, my father moved to Atlanta because that's where her job was transferred. And I
wow?
was still finishing community college in Tampa. And I told her, I was just like, I told her if she moves to Atlanta, I'm going to come. I'll come. And it wasn't really even thought about school. It's really just to be with my mother, um,
Right.
to make sure like she stays awake. So to protect her, I've always been like, my mom knows like she cannot tell me certain things because I'm always like, I'm her lawyer, I'm her protector. So she came to Atlanta and I finished community college and I applied for Clark. That was the only university I applied for. I'm like, I'm gonna get in. And I got in, and then here I am from junior year, not really thinking like me on that day on the promenade that I'll actually get to Clark, Atlanta, and I did, and I graduated there. So,
That's amazing, and I love it because it's everything that you just said is all the pieces. It's the desire, it's
mhm,
the belief and the expectancy, and most importantly, it's the letting go of the how.
yeah.
You weren't like fixated on how it had to happen. You just knew that it would
Oh my God.
and continued, moving towards it. So I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
My next question is, what is one piece of advice that you would give someone if they were wanting to, I guess, be better? Like, or is there something, yeah, what would you, that they could do if they were stuck, struggling, um, needing help? I don't know, wanting to move up in their career, if they were wanting to get out of a messed up situation, um, and just feel stagnant. Like, what is one piece of advice you would give them to do?
Um, I would say community is everything. Connections, relationships, finding resources to get you out of there. Like, so So Inspire Life 365.
Oh my goodness.
I'm gonna say so. Like last year, I was really in a rut of like my career and just what my life was. It was just like you go through these phases that you just get disconnected, and that's okay. You're gonna go through those phases that your spirit's a little lower than it is, and it can't really bring you to like push through. And that's when the community and like reaching out for help. It's really just reaching out for help. Like you can't do this life alone. Like literally, you cannot do this life alone. Every place I have been is because of people, good people that's been in my life, whether it's my family, my friends, like, or my boyfriend, or like, I went to Natalie's vision board soiree, and like, I really was in a rut around the time, very like feeling very low, and I was like, I need to get out of this, and I need help, and I was inspired by how she was helping others, and I could have been like, oh no, I'm gonna get out of this myself. Like sometimes we need somebody outside of our brain to help us pull out of there. And like I wrote in her 8-week program, and it helped me to unlock. Like these are things that's already in you, but sometimes you have to have somebody to help bring it out, and just help you to go to the next step. Like I always say, Jesus had how many disciples? He wasn't walking by himself.
Talk about it.
Like, the whole plan was never by himself. God didn't just like throw Jesus in the earth and say, do this. He used Mary, and Mary had to kind of lean on Joseph, and then just growing, like, because he was basically his dad, like growing up, until he got to the point that he was older. But he was building his community to help him. And then when he left, he like, now you go build more communities. Like, I don't know, like you always gotta connect. I just feel like he just shows us like a good example of like I did this too, basically. Like I was tried, and I've been through lots of ups and downs in life, and I had to get tested, and it wasn't easy for me. Like I always say, like, who am I to be exempted of trials and tribulations, And then like he shows that we need people, so I keep good people in my life. So again, like I said, I wanted to work at Delta, but if I didn't know that friend that was in Delta, would I have gotten there? I don't know. I don't know, but that helped me. Like, like even with the relationship with you, like I decided to go to Soiree, but I really didn't want to. I was again feeling very whatever. I'm glad I pushed myself to go. I didn't want to be around people, but I was inspired. And then I reached out and was just like, I need help getting to the next step of my life. Like I there I'm mentally and spiritually fatigued. So I need some help. Like and it helped me. So reach out to your community, build a community, find some people like to help you when you're low, to just be like, and then even when it comes to like having a partner, make sure your partner is a cheerleader and they're not just with you when you're happy. Like they're like I have some times I'm very low and my boyfriend has to like, remind me who I am, and I love that. And then like when he low, I gotta remind him who he is, and then we just
Yes.
keep going back and forth. But like you can't really do this life alone.
You can't. You can. That's such a beautiful way to end this segment, that we're not meant to do this thing alone. We are not an island. We are not an island.
It's too
And
hard.
that's it. We're not an island, and there is no shame in reaching out and getting the support that you need, because you're going to be on the other side of that at some point. Someone's going to be reaching out to you, wanting
I have
support and
one
needing
more
support.
point about the sport. This is for the young girls that have like a child young. I remember I was finishing college. My mother and my family, they have been amazing to help me to get where I am with having a child and still finish school, masters, all that stuff. But I had a young girl. I think she was pregnant around time, or just had her baby, and she wanted to move from her family because like she felt like internal shame. You know how it is. And I told her, I was like, it may be hard right now, but you need your family. You need to stay there. It's not going to be easy raising this baby by yourself. You need to stay there with your family. Um, and now she done finished nursing school and all that stuff. Like, but basically with that again, I had a point. I mean, that is the point, but I
The
couldn't,
support
I
system.
couldn't, I couldn't be where I am with my child if it wasn't for my amazing mother and my amazing sister and my amazing godparents, my
Yes.
daughter's godparents, to help me along the way. And like whoever wants to help you, whoever wants to love your child, let them love your child. I always say,
Mhm.
like, if they want to help, let them help.
Mhm. Yeah, especially when it's in the right spirit.
Yeah.
When it's in the right spirit of love
Yes.
and caring and in your best interest, or for the good for everyone involved,
Mhm.
let them. Sometimes we just feel like we got to do it all. That's a program. That's a program that I gotta do it. I can do bad all by myself.
Still do
you
that.
know, I mean, you can do bad all by yourself, but why not do good with others? It's much easier when you have other people helping you and feeding into your spirit, lifting you up and supporting you on the journey.
Yeah.
None of us ever do it alone again. And so that's great, Wendy's. That's great. I am so thankful that you came on and allowed us to just have some of your space, some of your energy to just inspire our listeners, inspire young ladies, young women, old women, grown women to just be their best selves and know that they got this.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what anyone says. Just do the Wendy's, whatever. I love that so much. So that being said, as you all know, Inspire Life 365, we're always dedicated to unlocking the potential within each and every one of us. And so I invite you to just take a moment, take a deep breath, and then just inhale love, inhale abundance, inhale resilience, inhale just manifestation, and then exhale anything that is not serving you anymore. Be a Wendy's out here in this world. So thank you so much, and we'll catch you all on the next episode.
All right. Thank you for having me. Bye.